Controlled Chaos with your hosts, Liz and Allie.
I'm Liz, the writer.
And I'm Allie, the publicist.
We are your quintessential 40-something besties who dive headfirst into all things pop culture.
Think motherhood, relationships, hot stories taking over your newsfeed, and of course, the latest gripping true crime mysteries.
This is Controlled Chaos, your much-needed weekly pop culture juice.
Drink up! Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of
Controlled Chaos. I'm here in my garage today. back in my carport.
Back in the carport. And I'm exhausted because my daughter's been coming in my room every single night for like the past 2 weeks. Although last night was the first night she didn't, but she went to bed late and I'm a mess today. So my voice is a little rough. But anyway, speaking of children, and we're going to talk today about what we've learned about ourselves since we become moms. And we might throw in some of our favorite books as well if that comes up. But basically, the world that has opened up in our brains since we both became moms. I have a 3.5-year-old. Liz has
I have a 20-month-old and an 8-month-old. It was a big year, guys.
It was a big
2 years.
Big 2 years for the vagina.
And I'll tell that story when we get going because it's worth hearing. It's worth hearing for both a cautionary tale and just because it's funny.
You might as well.
I'll tell that story, or I can tell it. I'll tell it now. Okay, so my baby, my first daughter, Emmy, was 3 months old. Okay, and I was feeling a little nauseous one time giving her a bath, and I was like, I remember my husband being like rolling his eyes at me, whatever. So then I go to dinner with my girlfriends a couple nights later, and I didn't get nauseous once when I was pregnant with my first kid. I didn't have any morning sickness, any of that. And I told them, I'm like, hey, like, did you guys ever have any nausea postpartum? And keep this in your mind, okay? I'm in my 40s and I was breastfeeding, which I was told that like that's sort of birth control. So I'm at dinner with my friends. I'm like, hey, like I've been feeling nauseous, and they're like, no, you need to get a pregnancy test. You guys, we'd had sex one time. It was my first sex back, okay? Like I had a C-section, so we weren't allowed to have sex for almost 3 months. First one back, I woke him up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, get back on the horse, okay? That horse turned into my new baby, Charlotte. So anyway, after they told me this is the funny part. I storm into Walmart and get a pregnancy test. Like I'm walking in like this, and this woman's like, I check out with just the pregnancy test, and she's like staring at me, and I was like, I'm talking to her like she's like my therapist. I'm like, this can't happen, right? Like I'm breastfeeding, I'm 40, I have a 3-month-old. And she was like, girl, that don't matter. And I get home and I take the test and just one line shows up at first. And I'm like, oh, and I screamed to Ryan like, oh, we're fine. And then slowly but surely, boop. And then I burst into tears, you guys. I was very upset at the time. I mean, I just had a baby. She was only 3 months old. It's all okay now, but you need to know that you can be 40, you can be breastfeeding, and the pull and pray, you guys, we did that. None of it mattered, okay? Be safe. You're really fertile after you're pregnant.
So the first, as a new mom, that within a few months, when you're just getting a little bit rowdy again, you want to try to have some sex again, and you're like, oh yeah, the breastfeeding thing.
I was just trying to get the spark back. So that's the first thing I learned as a new mom, that you're really fertile when you're a new mom. You are really fertile because my doctor's...
And he pulled out.
He pulled out. And like another funny thing that happened is I was telling the story to friends, and this one friend of mine like didn't talk, and she got like really quiet and her eyes bugged out. Turns out she's pregnant because after that she was like, my husband just did the pull and pray. And I'm like, well, you might not be safe. She's pregnant. She is pregnant. So she texted me like 2 months later and was like, that's why I was so scared during your story. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But also,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So yes, that's how my family, they're less than a year apart, 364 days, August 10th, August 11th.
They're
Irish twins. And it's wonderful now. But at the time I was really freaked out. So it was like new mom double. It was a double dose of new mom. And Allie's got more experience than me now. She has her toddler, not even toddler anymore. She's like a full-on little girl.
I mean, she's a toddler, but I just remember when you called me and told me you were pregnant again, and I 100% did not think you were.
Allie was here, you guys. You should know that she was here. So she was here for like my first kind of celebratory weekend. Like I smoked a joint. I, had some oysters. I was drinking champagne. This was my first time doing any of these things, being like, oh, like I'm free now. The very next day after she left, I found out I was pregnant. The very next day. So there it is. There's our connection with that. You're a part of it in a way.
Crazy. And they're both so young, which is a beautiful thing that they get to grow up so close to each other. But you never would have imagined having two kids that were what are they?
364 days apart,
12 months
364
apart?
days, less than a year. I never would have imagined, but I think if it didn't happen this way, to be totally honest, I probably wouldn't have had a second. I'm not sure I would have. I don't know if I would have. But I'm really glad it happened this way. It's actually super cute to see them together already. So I'm happy for them. It's going to be great for them to have a sibling so close in age. And
And you've
Charlotte,
gotten through the hardest part,
oh, and
I think, which
Charlotte,
was like,
my new one is such a dumpling. Like, I mean, she's the best. So I'm not the best. I love them both equally, but she's wonderful. I was convinced I was gonna get like a hellion baby because Emmy was such a good baby, but Charlotte's been incredible.
but it all happened for a reason. I mean, you were so freaked out in the beginning, and that just shows you how strong you are too as a woman. I remember having many of those talks with you about this is all going to be good for you.
And I
It's all
think
going to be for
that's
the
sort
best.
of like, and going to your list, like that's what I've learned most as a new mom. You just handle it. I don't know how else to say it. Like you think you're not capable of these things, but you just are. Like the way our body, I mean, don't even get me started on our bodies and what we can handle, but like women have this amazing capacity to just sort of like you just adapt,
Yep, you
and
do.
it's like so natural, and it's really kind of mind blowing. I think back to the person I was like 5 years ago, even and the person I am now, what I'm capable of now. That's what I've learned most. It's really boggling.
I think everyone sort of has different ways of how they transition into motherhood. Like, I think for me, it's been a little bit tougher to kind of lose my old identity. And maybe you having
Oh yeah,
you forced you and so quickly forced you like more so than me. I think for me, I still struggle sometimes with the fact that like 9 p.m. bedtimes for myself every day are like the norm now. And like if I go on a
yeah,
vacation,
yeah,
my daughter's likely coming with me and it's not technically, well, you
absolutely.
know what? It is a vacation. I just have to look at it differently. It's not about me drinking constantly and getting drunk by the pool. And
But is it though?
I mean,
Is it? Because I just went to Mexico with my kids this past week, guys, and yes, it was fun. But it's not this. It's like exactly what you're saying. I don't know. It's not really like a vacation because I cannot check out. There's no checking out.
there's no checking out. You have to wake up every morning with those kids or that kid, and you're their lifeline. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going.
you can't get drunk by
Weirdly,
the pool.
I'm going to Mexico. Funny enough, in a couple weeks too, and it's the same. I am having some anxiety about it because like I'm so excited to go and the beach and the pool and enjoy the weather and get a massage and all these things, and we'll take advantage of like the kids center there. And I know you had family that was able to help
Yeah,
you,
we did all that too. Yes, and it was fun.
but I have to
So
come
you
to
can't check
terms
out.
like my hanging out is now with my 3.5-year-old. Like that's what my fun is going to be. If I want to go run around on the beach, it's with her with a ball and we're playing. Like I'm not.
You're never not a mom ever again. You're never, and I think that's what you're saying with the identity. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like you have to mourn your old self. Like I don't know if husbands or
But I know some women that,
I am too.
yeah, but I know some women that like were able to just mourn it like that and it was over. It was like within the first year, not even. They're just like, they're good. And I'm
I don't think
still
that'll ever be
struggling with
me.
it.
And but you know what that says to me, Allie? I think that says that, and I'm this is a controversial thing to say, but it's what I believe. Being a mom is wonderful, but it's not the only thing I want in life. It's like being a mom isn't enough for me. Like I love being a mother. My kids are my life, but like they're not my whole life.
Nail on the head.
And I
Nail on the
think
head.
and I
It's
think
not
that
the
was
only
how
thing. Yep.
they're not the only thing in my life, and I was raised by a mother like that, and I think that that's healthy. That's my opinion. I know a lot of mothers were their kids are their entire lives, but I'm not so sure that is, in my opinion, the healthiest way to be. My kids are obviously my biggest priority, but they're not my only thing in my life. That I need more than that. So I think that's why we're kind of always mourning a little bit of that part, because that identity is so important to us. That's why, I mean, look, that's why we had to do this podcast. It's like we need to like keep
It's
ourselves
true. It's almost like
in
a midlife
this,
crisis in a sense of like trying to rediscover yourself. I'm feeling that way about my career as well, and like the last
Of
20 years of
course.
my professional life, and what was that all for, and what am I doing, and where do I want to go, and I have so much life left to live and I don't want to waste it. And and
Yes.
now
And the days are like, it's like
blur.
everything's Groundhog's Day, but it's also a blur. Like, what did someone say? Or maybe it was you. Someone told me, like, the days are long, but
And
the time flies.
yeah,
Like, your days are long,
but the
they're
years are
redundant.
short.
I mean,
The
but the
days
years are
are
short.
long and the
Like,
years are short.
and that's kind of scary because all of a sudden it's been like 2 years, and just like you're saying, you have all these things you want to do. And like, but then what have you done every day? It's like, wake up, breakfast, Miss Rachel songs. It's like,
I'm
Just like
excited for you to get out of the
repeat.
Miss Rachel phase because it's been a couple years now for us and the whole new world opened up.
Well, we haven't really been watching her as much as I just like sing her songs a
Yeah,
lot
well, in
now.
your head.
They're in my head all the time. I mean, because I'm teaching like my new one how to clap. I'm like, open, shut them. It's like we don't even have her on as much as like I'm just using her
Of
methods.
course. Well, that's you're learning her techniques to get them through your days and help entertain your children and learn at that age. Which brings me to the first one of the first things on my list, and this probably isn't a movie you've come to yet because your kids are too young. But I apparently love the movie Trolls, and
Oh, well, that's a fantastic movie. It's so
you've
happy.
seen it.
It's so happy. Yeah, it's so happy.
Well, the new one, I can't stop
I
singing. Literally can't stop singing it. It helps that Justin Timberlake. I know our favorite. He's not our favorite, but he's at the helm.
I know, but you know what? I love that song. Every time it comes on, like my
Which one,
Emmy's
the
Kids
NSYNC
mix,
one?
I got this feeling. I like that.
So you're
Not in
talking
my.
about the
I can like.
old Trolls. I'm talking about the new
Yes, I'm
Trolls.
talking about. I'm talking about the OG. I haven't seen the second one, but anytime that song comes on, I'm telling you, I'm like this. I'm like I can't stop moving. So
Well, that song's
JT's
old
so.
news over here. Now it's perfect,
I
perfect,
know,
perfect,
but
and it's the NSYNC song. I mean, there's NSYNC on. They banded together.
I'm getting on board then because I thought the first one was so good. That's a
First
good
one
one.
was really good.
Yeah, there's a lot of kids movies that aren't so bad. There's a lot. I can't wait till my kids get to
Yeah,
that age because the stuff you watch them at this age is
it's
awful. Like
awful.
just
Yeah, it's
don't
very
like it.
boring. I
Yeah,
agree. But
so boring.
anyway, and then the next thing on my list is, and this is just something that I probably was always really good at, but it really came to light when I had a kid, was I'm really, really good at giving orders to my husband. Like it is just constant.
I thought I was a good multitasker, guys. I've always kind of thought that. I am what you when you're a mother, like, and you know what, and this is gonna sound a little mean, but you really, really like the gap between what women and men can do becomes
Bingo.
extremely apparent when you have kids. Like it's kind of like it's almost impossible not to resent your spouse
Yeah.
because of what we're able to do. And like I'm talking like in a 30-minute window, I can do hold my baby, do laundry, do dishes, feed him, do I can do it's like I'm an octopus. I can do all these things at one time, but like men just can't do that. They can't, they're
No.
singular task people. They can't do it.
And I've also, because of that gender gap, have found myself thanking my husband or being like, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing that. And I'm like, why am I thanking him for caring for a child that he is 50% of? Why is it,
Oh my gosh.
why does it automatically go on me? And then, oh, thank you for cleaning that up. Or thank you for putting her plate in the sink. Or thank you for throwing her laundry in. And I appreciate him, of course, but like, why do I feel the need that it was like, it was on me?
Oh man. I
I'm the
could talk
automatic,
I
right?
could I could do a whole episode on that because there's actually a book you guys should read. It's called Fair Play. Have you ever heard of this book, Fair Play? It's about the division of labor and like it's about like how there's all these assumed tasks of women. Okay, exactly what you just said. It's like we do think these things all the time without a
Right.
thank you. We
We
do.
just
It's
do
just a,
them.
so by thanking you, or we just sit. By thanking you, we're basically saying that it's always my job. Thank you for helping me. But it's really not help. These are your kids too. And that is something that is just drives me insane. And I think that that's a very common thing. And there's a whole book about it. Clearly it's very common, but it's true. It's like by saying that, and but you're also right too. I found myself in my marriage, or my marriage is much more harmonious when I do say, show my appreciation, encouragement. Thank you for doing that. But then it also reiterates that fact. So my
Yeah.
hands are tied a little bit where I'm like, why am I thanking you for helping you raise your kids or helping
And
me
just
raise them?
disclaimer, like, and I'm
But
sure
yeah,
you feel the
that's
same, like Mitch, my husband, is a gem. Like he does so much. So it's not like I'm always asking him.
so does
Yeah, I'm not
Ryan.
always
Yeah.
asking him like to do things, but you do every day I catch myself saying these words and then I'll look back and say, wait, I'm not saying that he's like, you don't have to thank me. I'm like, thank you for saying that. And I'm like, I know. Okay. Then why am I doing that? I'm like perpetuating it. It's awful.
He said that? Okay,
He is a gem.
then he
Yeah.
is a gem because that's pretty amazing. I get the opposite where it's like you don't say thank you for this. I'm like, yeah, you're damn right
Yesterday
I
I
don't.
was
Like I'm
so tired
like,
from my daughter coming to my room every night, that from Shauna coming in, that I begged, I was like, can you please just take her somewhere? It was 7 a.m. I'm like, please, I need sleep. I need to sleep. Like 30 minutes later, it was 10 o'clock. And he came in, he's like, that's as long as I could go. And I was like, wait,
that's
what was that?
really
30 minutes? He was like, it was 3 hours. I was like, what? And you know what this
that's
man did? Do you
really
know what this
nice.
man did? Not only did he go biking with her and go around on her scooter, he found an abandoned scooter that is fast like Shauna's, that our neighbor's been wanting, their daughter. So he found the scooter, brought it back, they cleaned it off, he ordered new handlebars, and they're gonna give it to the neighbor. How nice is that?
Okay, I'm pretty sure you're never allowed to
right? Like, how do I
complain about
complain
Mitch
about him?
again. I think that
Boggles my mind. And that
you can't. That's
I know. My heart melted.
you can't. That's really good. You know what? And I need to remind myself of the same things because Ryan is a super involved dad, and I think that sometimes we forget that. Sadly, that's not
No,
the
at
norm.
all.
It wasn't even like it wasn't even as much as I like. My dad was the best, but like my mom did everything. So I think that
Yeah.
even in my life that was the case. So it's not like that. I mean, Ryan is very involved with our kids, and that really isn't the norm. But like I guess there's like going back to what you said, it should be, but it's not. It's really not. We're
It's
mothers are the
not. And
default. The mental load on us. Oh my God, the mental
well,
loads.
and so that leads me to the next one, as I feel like I get triggered a lot, and it has come out more and more since I had Shauna. And I don't know why. Do you know like why? Like, do you get
Yes,
triggered all the time?
yes, and you're the one who told me about this book, The Family Plan. The Family Plan
Oh
is
no, the parenting map?
I'm
You mean
sorry,
the
the parent
parenting map?
I'm sorry, yeah, yeah, the parent. Oh my God, I was like,
Parenting
that's
map
not
by Dr.
the
Shafali, yes.
parenting map talks about how everything we are as parents, it's all like in our internal like trauma from when we're children. It's so interesting. And I've learned that very much as an adult. Like you learn when you have kids, it's like all of a sudden this glass is shattered that like, oh, here's what I've got. Here's what I inherited from my parents. Here's like it's like everything comes like everything that you've had inside you that you didn't want to take from them and you did, everything becomes clear. Like the glass is wiped clean when you have your own children, that you what you see. And like but some of that stuff, depending on what you went through as a kid, is extremely hard to deal with. That you don't want to go back with. I mean, like that's the case. I mean, that's the case in my marriage, not really for me, but like it's hard to look back and deal with stuff that you didn't deal with because if you don't, it'll kind of come into your existing parenting.
Dr. Shafali says in that book too that they really shouldn't call it parenting. They should call it childing because you're really learning how to like you're not learning how to you're learning how to be a better parent to your child, but it's you're teaching yourself, you're like growing up again.
You're growing up again. That's what she talks about. Like it's so true, you guys. Like we're basically growing up the same time we're raising our children. It's that book is really, really
I
amazing,
know.
really
She has a
interesting.
couple. She's
One of my
Dr.
favorites.
Shafali like basically dubbed and came up with the whole conscious parenting theme, which is a lot of people talk about, which is how you and a lot of now in Instagram doctors and moms out there are teaching their own variations of this. You know, how do you approach your kid when they're crying or when they say things to you that they want or they don't want? It's not to immediately yell or chastise them or put them in a timeout. And some people balk at this and they say, "Oh gosh, give your kid some tough love." And there is like a fine line, right? And there needs to be a balance. Sometimes Mitch is like, "I'm done with this conscious shit." He's like, "Put her in timeout."
I mean, yeah, we all hit that place. And I'm not saying that's not going to happen with me too. I just think it's so dead on and interesting about how much that stuff is your own
Yep.
child. It's your own inner
You are
child that's
literally
reacting
like
to things.
going through your own therapy when you have a kid. And then it amazes
It's
you how we're obviously like, as much as we have our little and big T traumas, pretty, with it people, smart people that have had education and grown up well. And so then you think of like people that are in poverty or people that don't have the right means or don't have the right support or have abusive spouses. And then they're raising a child. And I'm like, what the how? Or
I,
raising five children.
I like can't even believe it because
Blows my mind. So hard.
it is so hard even when you have support. So to go through it and not have it, like I don't even know, that
So
seems
hard.
impossible to me.
Yeah,
It seems inconceivable to be able to do that in
it
that
really
kind of
does.
environment. It really
And then
does.
also to like there's a fine line too of like talking to your kid about things that really they're not ready to be talked to about yet, like for instance death, right? Or something like that. Well, yeah, because like our dog died a couple months ago and I didn't want to be like he went away to doggy heaven. Like what the fuck does that mean? So I was like, not really sick and
No,
he's
that's
no longer
interesting.
with
So what'd you
us. The
say?
doctors had to take him away and he's gone. And she doesn't get it, like understand the finality of like death, but she understands he's gone. And there's a scary piece of that. It's just the same thing with all these fucking kids books that like have monsters under the bed and it's like or witches in the closet. And it's like, why the fuck are we teaching 3 and 4 year olds about witches in closets? We're gonna go to bed and have nightmares. These kids, all they think about are like the most minute, simple things. They're gonna wake up in the middle of the night thinking there's a monster in their closet. Like, why is that healthy?
Yeah, what book is that? Get that book away.
A lot of them.
It's a
I mean,
terrible
hello.
book.
Goodnight Moon has its version called Goodnight Goon, and it's all about like goblins and monsters.
What?
It's a great
I
story.
do not know about Goodnight Goon. That is, first of all, that's an inappropriate title. That just the whole
I
thing.
love that book.
Goodnight Goon.
I still read it to her.
Of
I
course
love
you do,
it.
because you like, see other podcasts about scary movies, and you understand why Allie likes Goodnight
It's and
Goon.
well,
Okay,
Shauna
but
just
like,
told me
I
she
don't.
wants to be a skeleton for Halloween. I'm like, "You're turning 4 on Halloween. Her
Well,
birthday's on Halloween."
that's your
I'm like, "A
child. That's your
skeleton
child.
already?
That is.
Goodness." And now I've told my neighbor just told me that they put, I forget the name of, the clown from It. Do you remember the name of the clown from It?
I mean, no, because I refuse to see
Okay,
that movie.
well, it's
Clowns scare me to
oh,
such a high
Pennywise.
degree.
They put a Pennywise
Oh,
severed head in the drain on in the street on during Halloween, and they're like, "Get ready, get ready." And I was like, "Wait, are you?"
oh my gosh, these people sound like your
I'm telling
soulmates.
you, the
These are like your
whole
soulmate neighbors.
neighborhood shuts down, the road closes off. It is like there's a parade.
You are living in the right place for you, okay? And your baby was born on
Halloween's a
Halloween.
big deal here in
That's
Nashville.
good.
Okay, so yeah, enough with the scary because we could talk about the scary stuff forever. Okay,
We can't help it.
another one that I was shocked by is that poop doesn't gross me out as much as I thought it would, especially when the poop won't flush down the toilet, which has become a common issue
Oh,
in our home.
not only does poop not gross you out, you guys, this is especially true with babies. Poop is the amount you talk about poop is absurd. When you have a newborn baby, that's the only way you know anything about them is by their poop. And like Ryan will literally be like, "Oh, it's yellow and seedy today. Oh, it's actually really black and green today." Like you talk about it all the time. How many poops has she had today? Even now, Ryan's like, "Oh, her poop's pebbly. We got to get her some prunes." We give our children
But that
prunes
works.
every
It's
day, you
great.
guys, to keep them like it works. We give them prunes every day to make sure they stay regular. But like it's like Ali said, poop becomes extremely like not only not gross, like a very vital medical
Yep.
thing in your house. You talk about it
And then, of
daily,
course, as they get a little
daily.
older and they start getting out of diapers, then the conversation shifts because now it's not just like the color of the poop and what it looks like. Now it's like, what are you doing? Why are you sticking your hand down your pants? Why are you making that face? Why do you look like you're constipated? Why are you going under the table? What's going on?
We're just getting into that now, you guys. My eldest girl, my 20-month-old, I think she's about ready for potty training because she's showing certain signs like that. She talks about the potty all the time now. If anyone leaves the room, she's like, Mama pee pee, Daddy pee pee. Like she gets it. And then she'll kind of hide when she's pooping. So I think we're gonna
You could do
start. I
it.
think
It's
she's
tough.
ready. She's getting there.
Shauna had a regression and we had to go back to diapers and now we're finally off everything, even pull-ups at night. But I will say that she is now in like some other regression again where she holds the pee in because she's having so much fun. So she'll go like, and then she's like, I'm like, do you have to pee pee? She's like, no, I'm fine. And then she keeps playing and then 5 minutes later, like, what is going on?
Little kids like don't they like don't want to pee sometimes. I don't want, you know what? I'm 41
Well,
and
because
I
when
don't
you're
want to
doing
pee
something fun
sometimes.
and you're
They're,
playing, like as a kid, and so as an adult, the same thing. If you're watching a good movie or something, you don't want to like stop everything.
No, you know what's fun for me? You know what's fun for me now when I'm asleep and I have to pee and I'm like, no, I'm not getting up. I am asleep and no one's crying. I'm
But
not
doesn't
peeing
it
right
then
now.
wake you up all
Just
night,
go
like the
away.
bladder pure?
Of course, I eventually you have to obey it. Like you have to obey the pee, obey the poo. If you don't obey it, it'll bite you in the ass. But like I don't want to. I understand Shauna's predicament is what I'm saying. I just am like,
It's annoying
stop
for
it. Like
sure. But
I
then she
don't
pees in
want
her
to deal with
pants all
this.
the time. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
this is fun. So we've just going through underwear like it's freaking water over here. So that's what we just ordered tuna. I mean, it's just crazy. But yeah, so that's really fun and something that you'll really look
Oh.
forward to when the conversation shift from the shade of the tip.
But again, you adapted, right? You just go with it. Like it
Oh,
goes
and
back to
having
our
to go in
original
public
point.
bathrooms with
You
kids
just
is
do it.
disgusting. I took Shauna in one yesterday, and she like just put her hands on the fucking toilet, and I'm like, no! I was screaming in there, don't touch anything! Some woman was in there laughing at me.
I was changing my baby on an airplane bathroom this past week, and I came out, and the stewardess just looked at me and started laughing because I was just in there like, "What the fuck?" Like just like going like banging and like I sounded insane. I'm sure I sounded like I was.
No,
It's such a
there's no changing
it's
table
such a
on the.
and I'm like,
There was?
it go no, there is. It pull. I
Wait,
didn't know
there's
that
a
because I've never.
changing table in
Yes, I
a
didn't know that.
plane bathroom? What?
Yes. Oh, it goes over the toilet. I did not
No
know that.
idea. I
And
missed the boat.
she put it down for me. Do you think I never would have known that? I don't even go to the bathroom on planes ever. I certainly don't change a diaper on a plane, but I had to this time. So I'm in there when she showed me that, it made things better, but it's still just so tiny. I'm elbowing everything. I'm swearing like a sailor. Like I come out,
What
everyone's just
happened
like,
in there?
I'm like, oh, that's fine. Bye. I mean, just, it's hard.
I have to tell you that one time I did change Shauna's diaper next to a man on the plane because he had one eye and he couldn't see.
Wait, I'm sorry. One-eyed
We
Willie?
were
Wait,
your
you changed
side
your
was your
at the
side.
seat? Wait,
we were
Wait,
stuck on
what?
like we were taxiing for like an hour. Like we were not taking off and like I couldn't get up. We weren't allowed. Seatbelt signs were on. It was a packed plane. And this like delusional man sitting next to me with one eye was like this talking to me. And I was just like,
How do you know he had
he
one
had a
eye? Was
glass
it a
eye. So
glass
I could tell
eye?
he like couldn't see me. And like
Okay,
on
okay.
top of it, he was old
So
as fuck.
he so you changed your baby because of a one-eyed man next to you. If that's not a, like
She was
that's a very scary
she had
movie
pee all
plot.
over herself. I had to do it.
Oh my
And
god.
he had no idea. He never saw it.
And he never saw
Never
it.
saw it.
He didn't see it. He's a one-eyed
No, I was
Willie.
the good eye
Wow.
was on
That's
the
a
other
good
side.
one.
Yeah, it was great.
The good eye was looking out the window. That's a good one, Fold. You might want to save that for some sort of movie plot.
It was pretty bad. And it was getting
It's pretty
stinky too.
funny.
So I was like, I got to do something about this ASAP before.
Yeah, I'm sure both of his
Well,
nostrils
I didn't want
worked.
to be the
So I
next
mean,
Delta poop story. So I was like, let me figure this out real fast.
oh my gosh. Yeah, it's gonna be all over the internet.
But another thing that I've learned too is I thought I had a really bad shopping habit for myself. Man, do I love shopping. It has been redirected to my daughter. But
Oh,
what a waste of money. But
especially for
such
girls.
a waste of money.
Oh man, it's such a waste of money. And like when they're babies, there's that one meme I always relate to. Like when a night of sleep goes bad, the next day my porch is lined up with Amazon things. It's like here's a new swaddle to try. Like it's like that is so
Do you
accurate
even
because
remember ordering them? Sometimes I don't even remember ordering
no,
it.
I don't. My Google searches in the middle of the night. My last one was like how to get through the 8-month sleep regression. And then I look at my Amazon orders and I'm like, I ordered like 4 things in the middle of this.
All
Like, I
related
don't even
to getting through
remember.
a sleep regression.
All related to it. Yes. And like, you don't even, it's like, you don't even know what you're doing. It's like you're drunk all during this. Like, I
It's
gotta
true.
figure this out. But
You
yeah,
you can't sleep
yeah,
at night, and it's like, well, I'll feel less guilty if I'm not shopping for myself, so I'll shop for, the kid. And, yeah, same thing, but I do say that I because 'cause I'll go on, like, Nordstrom or any of those sites, but I only go to the sales, only because 'cause I'm like, "It is
yeah,
not
me
worth it."
too. Me too.
And by the
And
way, I have
yeah.
found stuff on Nordstrom Rack app that is the same exact piece from the Nordstrom app, and it's even on more sale on the Nordstrom Rack app.
Oh, I didn't even get the app.
Always do
It's a
a
good tip.
search if you get something on Nordstrom that it's not on Nordstrom Rack. Because I just bought a $80 jacket that was on sale for 40. I returned it because I found it on Nordstrom Rack for $18.
Oh my, that is savvy.
That's savvy, right? So, and
It's
Nordstrom
very
keeps everything
savvy.
back and you can return
I've been very into Old Navy recently for my kids. They have such
Ooh,
cute stuff and the sales are huge. And it's like I don't care if it gets broken. It's like $4.
is
Or,
this where
I mean, like
I've never shopped at Old Navy I don't know what I'm thinking. Do you
that
do it
could be a
online?
whole other thing. I'm going to tell you right now. If I was doing a try on right now, I just yesterday bought the cutest bathing suit from there. Old
Ooh,
Navy is good, you guys. And I'm going to tell you something else. It sounds crazy. Their stuff looks a lot nicer than it is. It's
okay.
actually
I wonder if
decent
they
quality.
changed factories or something. I
Yeah, I
literally
don't
didn't
know,
even
but
think of them to buy a bathing suit
you
for
need to
my trip.
you need to start thinking about Old Navy because I got it's a two-piece, but like a high-waisted. It's super cute.
Huge.
It kind of looks like those Show Me Your Moo, you know that brand, that kind of fancy brand.
Yeah.
It's like a dupe of that. I'm all about Old Navy right now. I could go on and on. I
I'm gonna
won't,
check
but
it
like I'm
out.
just saying
It's been years for
for
me.
kids and for adults, I've been really kind of going nuts there recently, and their sales are huge, 40-50% off almost all the time.
You know what I just bought from bathing suits that was terrible and I returned them? Cupshe. Have you ever bought anything from Cupshe? I think I bought
Yes,
shirts.
I have.
Awful.
I've bought. I'm not buying anything from there
Never
ever
again.
again. I went through a phase where I was buying a lot of one pieces from there, and I still have like several that I wear. But I don't want to work. I don't ever want to order from there
No,
again.
thank you.
That one shirt you and I both have that we love,
I love that
that
shirt.
kind of floral
I have
one.
it in two designs now because I loved it so much.
Okay, I love it so much. I've tried to find another one just like it because I like it so much. I wear it all the time. Oh, send me your
I
other
will.
one. I'll link
Maybe I'll
to it
bring it
after
for you
this.
and when I see you soon.
That shirt's honestly one of the best shirts I own. And so Cupshe has like some of its moments, but for the most part, I'm done
I
with
know,
them.
same. So I just returned like $80 of crappy bathing suits. It's like that store Sheen or Shine, whatever it's called, that massive $1 billion
And that and yeah, and they're like really bad to their workers. You read about that, right? Like
bad to
Shein's
their
like
workers,
really
bad for the
bad.
environment. Yeah, isn't there some doc about them now or something? Or there will be. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's really bad. Yeah.
We gotta stop
Okay.
buying from all those places that ship from China and everything's made like
I
crap.
know. I'm done with them. I do
Done
have
with it.
few cute bathing suits for them, but go to
Yeah,
Old Navy instead.
will do. And also just another bathing suit tip, and they're all one size fit all, is Bondi. It's my favorite one piece company. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Bondi.
And they're
Okay.
all one size fit all. They're from Australia. And they're
Okay. I'm
great.
gonna look at that
Yeah.
after this.
Yes, yes. The last thing I was gonna say, because it's get we're running out of time again here, is, and I'm sure you'll agree with this one as well, is I made it like like mission from day one to read to my child and how important that was. And now it's really
Oh,
paying off. Like at 3.5, she is obsessed
yes.
with reading. Always
That's
wants a
a
book.
that's a really good one, and one that I need to get better with Charlotte. We were so crazy about reading to Emmy all the time, and Emmy's like, I mean, I know everyone thinks this. She is like, she's really smart. She says all these sentences. I'm like, but we read to her religiously. I'm like,
I'm
so
sure
we
it
need to
helps. Yeah.
not drop the ball with Charlotte because I haven't been reading with her as much as I did with Emmy. So I need to get on that because it makes a huge difference.
One of Shauna's favorite things now is to go to the library with daddy, and we do like a big library haul where we like return 30 books and get 30 new ones, and she goes through all of them. She loves them. So it's
That's
really great.
amazing.
Yeah, I
That's
feel really
amazing.
proud as a mom that like that's paying off. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
she's really, getting a little older, and not that she can read or anything, but she can understand things more. So
And that
yeah,
stuff really, it really does matter. Like you're right. Like it's like that kind of
100%.
stuff really, really does matter.
It does. So yeah, these are all the things that I've learned and that you've learned about being a new mom, and it's a wild journey. We're just at the beginning of it right now. So if anyone's listening to this that has kids are similar to our ages, I'm sure they can relate. But those that are listening that have 15, 20-year olds or no kids at all,
Yeah,
or
you guys are probably laughing at us, kind of being like, "Yo, wait, I mean, this is just the tip of the eye. We're still new, but we've already learned so much in that time. But I'm excited for the journey. But I think that it's nice we touched on some realities here today. That like being
it
a
is,
mom
and
is great, but
it's really therapy for yourself. I've never seen so much of how much I need to like work on myself to be the best mom that I
yes.
can be, and great partner to my husband too, because I know I have my issues.
Oh, I have mine too, and I think that being a good partner and being in a healthy relationship is something I work on really hard now because it's really important. Your children take everything, like how they think they're going to be treated, how they think that relationships, what they think love is. It's all going to come from us. So like I feel this new sense of like pressure about that. Of like,
I
okay,
do too.
like
And
if we,
listen, we all make mistakes, of course. I
oh,
certainly act a
oh,
certain way.
I've certainly, yeah, right.
Yeah,
We definitely have, but I'm like, but I do want to get to that point where we've talked about this before. We're like, you come together and you reconcile in front of your kids, so they
right.
see like that there's a respect there, that they see how to resolve conflict. I think that's
I
something
make
I've
a
really.
big deal out of. I will apologize to Shauna if and I'll make Mitch do too. If I say something or do something that I'm like that just wasn't right, or that I didn't need to control that or make her wear that sweater or whatever, and make her, I'm like, you know what? I'm really sorry. That's your decision. You can have that, or I'll make Mitch apologize if he
That's
scared her.
that's really good. And they're showing her that, and like, and then she'll be more willing to apologize and like
Right.
show accountability and like remorse. And I don't want my children to be that way. I don't want to raise little narcissists. Okay.
No, although it's funny, Shauna's so like smart manipulative now that like, well, she'll be being bad or something, and I'll be like, Shauna, she'll be like, "Do I need to go to a timeout?" And I'm like, "What the?" Like, wait, when did a timeout become good?
That's
So then
pretty
I'm like,
cute.
"No, you don't need to go to a timeout." I'm like, "Wait, what?"
No, that's pretty smart. With Emmy, when I use her voice like that, she just goes like this and hugs my arm. Super.
Oh.
Oh, it works like a. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I know.
I know, and then
She's
you
so
do the "it's
like
okay," and
very
then you're like, "Oh,
manipulative,
I just got manipulated." Mitch tells me I'm
but
manipulative
it's
all
not
the time.
okay. Yeah,
Oh, it's not okay.
I just
You
got
sucker.
tried.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just
yeah.
I suck
Well, just
her.
wait till she's like another year from now, and then you're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh," because they play you like a fiddle. Shauna plays me like a fiddle all the
Oh,
time.
play and
Yeah.
she's gonna play Ryan. Like Ryan's got two daughters. They're gonna run
Oh
his
yeah,
ass.
run, run.
I mean, he thinks that they're not. They're gonna run him. He's such a softie with them. They're gonna
He's a
run
girl
his ass.
dad.
Oh, it's gonna be fun. He's a girl
He's a
dad,
girl
but
dad.
girl dads really they have they're as tough as you think you are as a dad. Those girls. I mean,
They
he would
soften you up
walk on fire,
like a mushy
soften you up.
gray
I mean,
pear.
Emmy could ask him for anything right now, and he'd be like, "Sure, yes, I love you." Or even,
Well, shout out to all the girl dads out there, because you guys are
and
very
all the
important.
parents just going strong. We're with you.
And if you're not a
We're one
parent
of
and you
you.
don't want to be, we get it. You won't have to go through this
Oh,
second round of therapy for the rest of your life. So
I actually kind of get that more than ever. I totally like if that. I mean, I was going to end on that. Like, I love having my kids, but I absolutely understand why people don't have them.
yeah,
I have no
life
like
is short,
that's yeah,
man.
I
And if
get
you
it.
don't have this huge desire to
I,
like want to procreate and raise something, which is really tough,
then
just
don't,
live your life.
then don't do
What do they
it.
call it?
Yeah,
When you're a double income, no kids, double income,
dink,
a did.
dink.
Yeah,
You're a dink.
there's a lot of
Which I just found out by the way that like go back to Nickelodeon. Bud Dink, remember from Doug
yeah.
Funny? That's why his last name was Dink. Did you know that?
No.
His last, yes, Bud Dink. In that, yeah, that's why his last name was Dink, because he was double.
But
They
that
didn't have
was a
any
thing back
kids. Isn't
then
that
in the
funny?
90s? I didn't realize that
Yes,
phrase
yes,
was
it's been a thing for a
known
long
like that.
time.
That
Yeah, I don't think it was like they didn't make a point of saying that, but that was apparently why his last name was Dink.
yeah, because I feel like the acronym like has been more of a recent thing.
Just a little
Yeah, that
trivia.
is funny, Doug. I remember that show. Do do do.
I loved that
Yeah, that
show.
was a good
So,
one.
well,
Yeah,
thanks, guys. We hope we shed some light for you.
this is a long episode, but when you talk about kids and therapy, it tends to go on. I feel like
You
it's
guys can relate.
yeah, you can relate. Just remember, poop. It's not as bad as you think it is.
Poop is actually poop. It's very important. It's gonna run your life. Okay, your whole life will be poop. Your whole life is shit. Okay, more ways than one.
Oh my god.
Thanks, everybody.
Talk to y'all soon.